We both use the rating site Metacritic, and we often look at the user score and the critic score, and we kind of work out, well, okay, for certain games, we'll look at the user score. For certain games, we'll look at the critic score. And we thought it would be interesting to discuss why we use certain ratings for certain types of games and why this works to our advantage.
What you got to think about is, first of all, you got to look at the reputation of the franchise. If it's a new IP, then there's obviously going to be a lot less bias in it. Because if you look at, say, the user score, critic score of something like Call of Duty, it's always going to have a low user score, anything past COD 4, right? Because people are just going to hate on it for no reason. So how can you trust the user score, even though it might be a decent game? You got to think about already how many people have made up their mind and are on there to troll for the sake of it. You got to think about that.
Is there another motive, basically, for them to give a low score? Yeah. Or are they actually giving a proper review? 9 times out of 10, if people are giving a game a 0, and they will usually put a comment, something like, this game is shit. Well, yes, that's fine, but that's not reasoning it through. If you can reason through a 0 out of 10 for Call of Duty, fine. I'll be on board. I will definitely read that, and I will give it credit if you can do so. However, just saying this game is shit and giving it a 0 is absolutely pointless. It doesn't help anyone. You've wasted the 10 seconds of life that it took for you to actually do that, because no one gives a shit. Yeah,
you're just hating because you have no idea what you're talking about, right? And it's human nature. I mean, sometimes people hate stuff they hate on it for the sake of, because they don't want it to be popular. On the other hand, you've got critic scores. Now, critic scores, you look at Metacritic, and how many games do you know? The standard for a green is anything above a 75, and 75, right? Anything below a 75 is considered kind of mediocre, or kind of stay away from that. And some great games have got lower critic scores like that. For example, Remember Me, that's clearly better.
Got a 66.
Yeah, it's clearly better than that. You know, you got some games that are pretty decent. They get kind of pushed aside in relative terms. It might be a 6 out of 10 on its own merit, but in relative terms. So critics kind of inflate scores, really. They love to slap the 9 out of 10 on the same release of FIFA every year, for example. So critics, in terms of the scoring, you can't really gauge a good idea, because
if you want to look at a critic score, look at what they've actually written, not their score.
Yeah. Because a lot of the time, I watch a lot of reviews and read them and stuff.
You'll listen to what they're actually saying, and you'll think, oh, okay, this game's going to deserve a 3 out of 10. I was looking at the Amazing Spider-Man 2, and I showed it to Cena, and he was like, oh, this is going to be a 3, it's going to be a 3, it's going to be a 3, and we're both kind of waiting for it to be 3 out of 10. And IGN gave it 5.4, and we were just like,
what?
How do your points how in any frame of mind does a 4.5 correlate to the points that you were making?
Yeah.
It doesn't.
The score is often just completely irrelevant, because you go on YouTube, right? You go on the comment section. Do you know what people are doing? People are saying, you gave this game an 8.9, you gave the other game an 8.7. How the fuck dare you do this? I'm unsubbing, IGN bias, fanboys. Listen to the content of the review. Now, granted, sometimes the content is not representative of what people care about. A lot of the time, these reviewers have this generic framework of, does it have glitches? No. 9 out of 10. No, consider what people actually want out of the game.
There needs to be a weighting, and yes. This can always be the case with first-person shooters. They will absolutely always miss the point that online is now more popular than ever, and the vast majority of people are more concerned with online play than they are with the campaign. And yet, campaign gets
all the gameplay,
gets 50%. 50% of the actual score, if not more. More the mention. It's always the trailer, and yet multiplayer is what people care about.
You know, you watch a review for Call of Duty, and all they're talking about is kind of campaign and saying Call of Duty has always been this and this and this. They never actually tell you, okay, what I care about is the key changes. When I'm watching a review, right, I want to know kind of, there's certain stuff I want to know. If I'm watching a Call of Duty review, There's certain things I want to know about the game. Don't just tell me Call of Duty is a first-person shooter. Call of Duty has a campaign. Call of Duty has a multiplayer. I already know this stuff. Tell me stuff that is useful. Tell me stuff that I don't know. Tell me about the multiplayer. Multiplayer is where you're going to be spending the most of your time. Multiplayer, they've changed this, this is balanced, this is imbalanced. Give an opinion. Don't just tell me what's already there. Don't tell me what I can see.
Don't just say, oh, we've got the traditional Call of Duty game modes. Tell me what you've changed. Tell me what guns are in it. Tell me how you've tried to balance them. Tell me what the maps are like. I had no idea off the Call of Duty Ghost reveal what any of the maps were like whatsoever, and it's kind of crucial.
Don't just show me the trailer and tell me what was on the trailer. Actually review the game. Don't just tell me what's there. Give an opinion. Tell me, is it good? Is it bad? Is it something that I should expect? Is it something, if I like this game, will I like this game? If I was a fan of God 4, am I going to like Modern Warfare 3?
Would you recommend buying it based off other titles in that genre?
Based off the alternatives. Always compare it to the alternatives. That's the thing. These critics, they are just scared shitless to mention any competitors to the game.
Would you, for example,
Yes.
You can look at a game like Remember Me and put it in the same context as Devil May Cry, and yet they will never compare the two, but yet they kind of complement each other. If you like a Devil May Cry, you will probably quite like Remember Me's battle system. Maybe not, it's not as in-depth as Devil May Cry's battle system, but it's certainly a refreshing alternative that you might like.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just about quality. It's not just about have you got the code correct. It's about is your review helpful to the user? Just giving a game 9 out of 10 and then not actually, and then your points not being in line with that. The score is irrelevant. Right, so when you go on Metacritic and you see, oh, this game has got, Dark Souls 2, it got 91, it's definitely a game I should check out. No, because it might not be for everyone. So don't look at the scores. The conclusion we've reached here is ignore the critic's score.
Always look at the content of the actual review. Listen to it, pay attention to it, apply it to your own personal requirements from the game, and then decide whether you want to buy it or not. And if the reviewer has done a good job, they should have told you whether it's worth buying or not. Moving on to user scores, there's usually a bit of a bias. However, in the vast majority, the score will equal itself out as an average that's true to the game.
You've got a lot of these haters as well, but a lot of the time, don't forget the score, right? Because a lot of people will just rate the game 10 out of 10, even though they think it's a 7 out of 10 to count the zeros. Don't completely focus on the user score. If it's a high user score, chances are it's going to be very solid. But always read what people say, read multiple. And here's another thing to emphasize. Actually make sure you kind of go through, use more than one source. Don't just watch an IGN review. Don't just focus on GameSpot. Read a variety of reviews. Watch the reviews by people on YouTube, for example, people that have actually played the game, people that are known for their good reviews. If you want to get a first impression, you want to listen to maybe Total Biscuit. He'll walk you through all of the beginning of the game, give you impressions, give you analysis of what's good, what's bad, etc. So actually make your own opinion. Don't just take IGN's 9 out of 10 as gospel that this game is going to be awesome, or just because they've given it a 9 out of 10 it's going to meet your expectations, because what the critic actually expects, or what the critic is judging the game on, is this generic template, and this generic template may not be what you're after.
If you want one of the most honest reviews, Angry Joe will usually say the comments that reviewers are scared to say.
Yeah.
And this is why I would recommend Angry Joe's reviews to anyone, because they will always be true to the game. He will always back up his points. He will always know what the community wants, and he's good at saying whether to buy the game or whether not to buy the game.
And he always has his own opinion, his own style, his own. He acknowledges his own biases, or what he likes, what he doesn't like, and he reasons them through. It's not like, oh, I hated this game because of this that is personal to me. He actually goes through, he shows you kind of his reasoning, his thought process. Whereas you say watch an IGN review, it's more of a summary of stuff. It's not. It tends to be too impartial, and with games being such an artistic medium, you can't be completely impartial.
They are subjective. That is the point in them being artistic, and that's the way they're always going to be.
So, yeah. What do you think? Do you value user scores? Do you think the scoring system is completely pointless? Do you think scores are too inflated? User scores, do they matter? User reviews, do a lot of people, do you not trust them? Critics, what about them? Do you think they are, because they're professional, they kind of know what they're saying, they kind of know how to write a good review, how to assess a game based on its merits without any biases? Let us know.
Or do you not look at any reviews whatsoever because you just think they're out of touch?